Welcome back to Welcome Back. I'm Zane.
And I'm Fidler.
I'm going to be making a character for Fidler to improvise.
And I'm going to be making a character for Zane to improvise.
The catch is, he and I won't know the characters made for us until the second the interview starts.
And with zero prep time, we'll have to improvise an entire interview with those characters. Welcome back to Welcome Back. I'm your host, Fidler. We've been off the air for quite some time now, and it's actually been because I've been doing research on our next guest. And the form of that research is me cryogenically freezing myself for 5 months. Because the guest we have on the show right now, he's a pioneer in the field of cryogenic freezing, and I've been encased in one of his freeze domes for the past 5 months. I've just woken up shaking some of the feeling back into my bones, but I am here in the studio with the man who made this type of technology possible. Missing some of my consonants, must have left them in the tank. Please welcome to the program Dr. Horvath Noisymelon. Dr. Noisymelon, thank you so much for being here.
So glad to see that you came out on top, Fidler.
Yes, I'm glad that I came out on top too. It's you know, when you think about cryogenic freezing, this field, which you're just Dr. Noisymelon making so many innovations in, it's just you can hear that chittering noise from the machine. It's still sort of cooling down, or warming up, I guess I should say, since it's been cool this entire time.
Warming up. Yeah.
Yes. So cryogenics is a notoriously difficult field of science. What has gone into the development of your freeze domes that has made them succeed when other tech like this has failed?
Well, a lot of people think that a lot of school education is what helps you in developing your aspirations, I would think. Obviously, you've got to get into the technological field of the technology and the equipment that you can get from places like Harvard or any other big name school that you could find that equipment at. And the teachers are not important. I must say that right now.
The teachers aren't important in the education process.
How is a teacher going to teach you about what you invent?
Yeah,
exactly.
They're just gonna teach you about what they want to invent in the textbooks that they're writing.
All that they're gonna teach you is, well, now I know that I really, really would love to just freeze everyone. That annoys the hell out of me. Not you, per se.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I've already been frozen for 5 months.
Yes, exactly. You, and I have to say, I'm very grateful that you came out alive. Because, obviously, how many people did I say that there were before you? Before the testing of you?
I think you actually avoided using a specific number. You mentioned something about how your publicist didn't want that over the air.
That's very good. Well, let's just say it's a miracle to be talking here today with you, Fidler.
I think every day is a miracle.
Anyways, a lot of the things that go into what I do, as opposed to like educate. A lot of people might say, "Oh, did you go to a top school?
Yeah.
Oh, did you
work
with
go to
the
a middle
best?
school? Did you go to a bottom school?
Were you a power bottom school?
Exactly.
Did you give a TED talk? That's a big one that I get from a lot of people. Have you given a TED talk? Because I feel like once you give a TED talk, you're in. You know the people. You get the crew. You get the group, and obviously a little bit of FBI secrets. So you get to know stuff like, oh, we can freeze people. Oh, we can teleport. Oh, Walt Disney is not dead. Things like that. And so when we get into what I like to do,
and how it's resulted in your success in this field.
Exactly. A lot of the time when I was a kid, I would go outside and I would give myself hypothermia. Just as you know how kids love to put the magnifying glass over an ant.
They do,
burn
yes. It. Sadism.
I liked, during the winter, just running out there into a freezing lake and almost killing myself.
Yeah.
That was just my thing.
Really, that's just the other side of the whole ant magnifying glass coin. They're just two very opposite, but yet the exact same thing.
Yep, it's quite literally almost that's opposite. So what I would do is I would almost give myself hypothermia, and I thought, hey, I could almost give hypothermia to other people. Accidentally stumble upon, while trying to give hypothermia to this annoying kid in my class, I freeze him. I think, well, that's not supposed to happen. He's just supposed to have hypothermia. Maybe a bit of frostbite, lose a couple toesy wosies.
Exactly.
Now he's frozen. I think,
I just checking to make sure I have all my toesy woesies. I think we're good here.
Oh, good, perfect. I can see that. I know you're still thawing out a bit. I'm glad that they got you a towel and everything.
I've got a little bit of ice left on my fingy wingies, but I think those should be fine fairly soon.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, as he was frozen, let him thaw out in the sunlight for a bit. He comes out. He's still alive. I say, "Goddamn." Because I couldn't help but be irritated that he hadn't gotten hypothermia, but intrigued that he had lived through the process. And I started thinking, I could start doing this to other people.
Yeah, this could be a profitable mistake.
The real inspiration behind it was, no matter what, it's a win-win scenario. Because either I get the fame of freezing people, or I get the pleasure of giving hypothermia to people.
Exactly. So this comes from a sort of personal desire, not necessarily initially to influence the field of science, but to just really do to other people what you, with no one forcing you to do, you did to yourself as a child.
It's quite literally do unto others as you would have them do upon yourself.
Except for you, it's do unto others what you would do unto yourself.
Yes, exactly. I treat people how I would like to be treated.
By yourself.
Yes. Because who knows me better than me?
Exactly.
I just love giving people hypothermia, or at least trying to give people So in that category, we're still in development. Obviously, I figured out the cryogenic freezing part. Fantastic, you're alive. Wonderful.
Yes.
If you had gotten hypothermia, we'd be getting somewhere. This topic would be completely different.
It really is a win-win situation. And so, I've returned to life, which is great.
Wonderful.
And so, seeing as if these types of results continue, if you're really able to cryogenically freeze people, what is the market for this kind of technology? Who are the people out there that want to be cryogenically frozen and would be looking for this kind of thing?
People with backstories and people with a lot to hide. That's a big one.
Interesting.
Obviously, there are theories behind Walt Disney being cryogenically frozen because he hates the Jews. And that's not,
and if you're frozen,
again, not
you
a backlash
can't get
at
in
you,
trouble
Fidler.
for hating the Jews. Thank you.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. As a member of the tribe, as one of the chosen, I appreciate that.
Have you heard of the Me Too movement? There's been a lot.
Yes, I have. I'm very interested as to how the Me Too movement relating to sexual harassment in the entertainment industry has to do with cryogenically freezing people, but please go on.
Well, as you know, Louis C.K. is on his coming back tour.
Again, tie this into freezing people for
Exactly. Me. Well, he's on his coming back tour now because he has had time to reflect well in a cube of ice. Now, there's a reason that you haven't heard much from this guy for a long time, and it's because, well, I tried to give him hypothermia. This is the kicker, right? You start working with the people that most people might have very controversial views about.
Exactly.
Right. And either they miraculously get hypothermia, oh no, they died, oh, that's a shame, well, they raped a person, that's fine, they're gone. Or,
dead, yes, freeze them to death.
Or, they freeze, and then they come back, and then they do more comedy, and it's wonderful. It's a win-win. Either I get to hear more Louis C.K. or we rid the world.
For people that for whatever reason, perhaps they've done something heinous or they have accusations against them.
Exactly.
Can sort of take a two-chamber Russian roulette approach where they either die and everyone's problems are solved,
right,
or they are frozen and can do nothing and have no influence on pop culture until a time where someone could deem it appropriate. So what you're suggesting that we have? Are you offering this to the people who would want to do this? Or are you saying we should have sort of a widely available service for if people are accused, we just take them and put them in the freezer so that they either die or they go away until I guess the people making the accusations in this case would get to decide when they were unfrozen.
Well, Fidler, when you phrase it like that, it sounds a lot like the electric chair death penalty.
Well, with the electric chair death penalty, it's not let's zap this guy and then put the life back in him a month later when we're okay with it. If
they do survive, though, then they're good for a while.
Yes.
But, yes, I do think that there should be some kind of law. And I've been trying to work out the kinks of what the law should be. I was actually talking to my buddy, who's going to come on here a bit later. And he recommended, well, obviously, there's the cruelty of freezing someone just because of an accusation. Oh, of course.
Yes.
How do you just choose who you freeze? Well, obviously they get a little bit of a choice in there, and they know the consequences and they know the risk reward. I think this applies to more than just people with accusations. Obviously, as I was going to get into detail on, my dog right now is frozen because he was a bad boy.
A naughty dogsicle.
I took my pup and made a popsicle.
A popsicle.
Yes.
That's very good.
I
Dr.
did,
Noisymelon.
as I aforementioned, try really hard to give him hypothermia.
It really does come down to that base impulse for most of these scientific advancements, is you just really, really want to give other people hypothermia.
I'm going to throw it back to when I said if I've done a TED Talk before. The reason I haven't yet is because I have yet to give someone hypothermia. So don't have
the
that
only person you've
in
given hypothermia is yourself.
Yes, I really, really want to share that with the world. And I know people would be like, oh, hypothermia, isn't that like bad? And I'd think, well,
quote unquote. Everything is relative.
Yeah, so I mean, is burning an ant alive with a magnifying glass wrong?
Children do it every summer. How
Children
bad
do
can
it every
be?
Yes, exactly. Same with hypothermia. Children do it
They give themselves hypothermia by running into the lake. It feels like every winter.
One kid comes out just stiff as a board, and I just thought, I want to share that experience with the world. Yeah. People out there figure out solar-powered air conditioning and things like that. That's miraculous. I want to figure out solar-powered hypothermia.
Exactly.
I'm on my way.
It's sustainable.
It is.
If nothing else.
Eco-friendly. No, we're not going to kill the world by doing it. In fact, well, we might fix overpopulation. That might be nice.
If you do end up finding the key figure to give people hypothermia and not just preserve their life functions until the future.
You want to hear the best kicker?
Oh, absolutely.
I've been looking into research. As I mentioned,
boy, this is exciting.
As I mentioned before.
This is a Dr. Noisymelon exclusive here on Welcome Back.
As I mentioned before, my friend who was coming on here later talked about the TED Talks and mentioned the...
would you say he TED talked?
He talked to Ted about the TED Talks.
Oh, the Ted. Okay,
yes.
Continue.
He talked to the bear.
And not his clone, TEDx.
We don't want to talk about
That's
TEDx.
Fair. You're
TEDx
right.
is his own separate interview.
Yes, but continue.
He told me about that. Yes, the FBI. You get a little FBI secretism in there. And I had to ask him. Well, if you have FBI secrets, do you know things like, do aliens exist? I said in a joking fashion, and he said, well, in a way. And I said, what are you talking about? Do you know something I don't know? He looks at me and he says, have you heard of giant babies?
Giant babies?
No, I'm not just saying a human-sized baby. I'm not saying a baby-sized baby. I'm saying a sequoia-sized baby.
A stories tall baby.
Stories tall baby. Just imagine... Imagine a tower, just the biggest skyscraper you've ever seen.
Yes.
Put a binky in its mouth.
And a diaper around its lobby.
Hear this. Market, untapped market. Beautiful. Well, giant babies exist, and a lot of people don't know about it because some of them, hear this, are disguised as buildings. That's why things are always under construction.
Cool.
And so... The thing about this is, giant babies need liquid refreshment. But obviously they need more than us normal-sized humans because they're so giant. Bombshell. Well, people are frozen. Human-sized ice cubes.
In the drinks.
In a nice, giant beverage.
That's perfect.
Doesn't it work? It works so well. I've tried it. It's fantastic. I've tried it inside and out.
And the cryogenics don't melt, so the drink doesn't get watered down.
Exactly. It's, you wouldn't believe the look on these people's faces when they're frozen and how they feel about it because they're terrified, but they come out looking like, oh wow, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
And they had no idea that they were chilling a giant baby's drink the entire time.
And the whole time they're chilling as well. It's wonderful.
It's perfect. Speaking of drink, we're gonna wrap up here. I am in gaining back some of the feeling in my body and the calories that I need after this cryogenic freeze. Wonderful. I have this packet you've prepared full of a nutrient slurry to return some of the vitamins and mind rails into my body. Tell me, it tastes really good. What are the types of ingredients in here that I have to reintroduce into my body?
The vitamin reinvigoration?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Well, you've got me. If I must tell you, if I'm in front of all of these microphones
rip it up,
and I'm pinned. Well, obviously, I start with a little bit just a little bit of blueberry.
A little bit of blueberry. I can taste that in there.
Blue. If your skin is blue and you eat blue food,
exactly.
It balances out the nutrients in your system.
The nutrients and minerals.
I throw a little bit of Parmesan cheese in there.
Cheese, yeah,
just to bring back the cheesiness in your jokes.
It's a little savory, exactly.
I bring back just a little bit of garden. And I know people think
grassy tones,
fruits, vegetables. No, yeah, just the area that is garden.
Yeah, a little bit of dirt in there.
There's a little bit of kangaroo, and there's a little bit of.
That's what that meat is. Yeah.
It's
springy,
it's that kick. It's got a little kick to it.
It's got a little kick. In this nice little pouch.
Yeah. The thing I've been worried to talk about it because I don't want to give away my super secret.
Oh, exactly. It's important to know what you're putting into your body, though.
The thing that really heats you up, Fidler, is the fact that we give you a little bit of yourself from an alternate dimension.
Oh, from an alternate dimension.
Yes.
This is the type of technology that you're putting in, where you're getting alternate dimension versions of me and taking that essence and putting it into my unfrozen body.
Well, I was frozen in hypothermia. I had a vision, and that vision was the fact that I physically saw myself across the way, and I realized
you had to drink yourself.
Yes, I had to drink myself in order to get out. That's a lot of what goes into this hypothermia thing.
Wow, it looks like I've been an ice cube, and now I'm my own ice cube. It's cool. The real circle of life. Well, that's Ice Guy Freeze Man, Dr. Horvath Noisymelon.
Pleasure.
And as I shake life back into this rigid body of mine, we will be right back. Freeze, baby. Freeze. 50 feet. Freeze. Ice Cube. You have the right to remain frozen.
Hi there folks, it's me, Chimmy Chip Chip, here to tell you about today's sponsor, the Tucky Monster. Tell me, hand on a Bible, swear on your mama's grave, have you ever been scared a monster was gonna grab your feet while you were in bed and pull you underneath and eat your eyebrows? That is a thing of the past now thanks to the adorable Tucky Monster. Tucky will actually grab the edges of your blanket and forcibly, no questions asked, tuck your kid in all nice and snug like the contents of a Chipotle burrito. No more fear of their feet being pulled, hell, no more fear of even being too cold throughout the night. Only the fear of knowing without a doubt there is for sure 100% an actual monster living under your bed. Also, once he tucks you in, please do not get up for a snack or the bathroom or anything like that. Much like anybody doing their job, Tucky can get real mad seeing his work come apart like that. If you know what's good for you, you will suck it up and hold it for the night. The Tucky Monster, a monster that tucks you in and lives under your bed. Buy it before it's too late.
For breakfast, I had an egg. For lunch, I had a sandwich. For dinner, I went to the movies. I didn't have anything to eat.
What? Seriously, what? Welcome back, everybody. It is good to talk to you again. I am glad that my friend Fidler is out of that ice cube. Let me tell you, he looked uncomfortable as hell. My name is Zane, and I gotta tell you, after that hiatus, this is such an honor to be with this man as our first guest back on the air. You guys are gonna love this. He is world-renowned famous for his daddy daycare system. The only man with a daddy daycare system that just takes the best care of daddies. And he also, if you've ever read into being a lawyer or ever taken care of being a good citizen in your community, there's no doubt in my mind that you've read his old law book, Fern Phasms, Funfathomables. Now, I have to. It's a pleasure. Introduce my guest today, Mr. Perf Pidge. How are you, Mr. Perf Pidge?
It's a pleasure to be on the program, Zane. I'm glad that I can get myself in front of an audience.
I'm so excited to see what you have to say to the people.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're going to talk about your work because the world needs to know about you, all right?
They do.
Now, this daddy daycare system, right?
Yes,
not like any other daddy daycare. You take really the best care of daddies.
Of the daddies.
Tell us,
yes.
what inspired such a daycare for you?
Well, a lot of it comes from the fact that the daddies need to be taken care of. The daddies, when there are a lot of people, it's a similar thing to child rearing. How they think about all of the daddies, and they try to think of a specific set of criteria that will help all of the daddies. They generalize. This is the problem. They say, for example, all daddies love to sit on the couch and drink a beer. All daddies love to watch the latest football game on the big plasma square. All daddies like to sit around reading magazines about the golf balls and the bird shooting. There's nothing funny about this, Zane.
No, sorry, that's... Oh, God, I just think it's hilarious that that cryogenic system still hasn't shut down after, it's been 20 minutes?
I've been wondering what's been making those very cold noises. Thank you for clearing that up for me. But as I was saying, it's all too easy to generalize about what sort of experience a daddy needs when they are cared for during the day at the daddy daycare. But when you take time to know each individual daddy and what makes them feel like they're being cared for between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. when it could be called day, this is what makes my daddy daycare system better than everyone else's. Perhaps you have a dad that prefers cider instead of beer. We accommodate for this daddy.
Ooh, wonderful.
Perhaps you have a daddy that prefers watching SpongeBob as opposed to the football. We accommodate for this daddy as well, using specially dad view glasses.
Ooh.
We used all of the technology for those 3D TVs that never sold because they were garbage. And we have specialized glasses for each daddy with earbud holes, so that they can all look at the same TV, which is turned on, and watch different programs, depending on whether they prefer the SpongeBob or the football or the Kardashians.
That's amazing, because honestly, we have a coworker over here, Jerry! Jerry! Yeah, that's Jerry over there.
The waving man with the torso,
right.
Yes.
You guys know, our audience knows him fine.
It's
Jerry over there. Yeah, he has a dad, and
yes.
His dad loves cider, so... You guys...
yes.
He stayed with you for about a week and a half.
I'm looking at him, and the shape of his face reminds me of the Jerry father. I remember him and his cider well.
Well, he's very grateful because he said that when his dad came home from your daycare, he felt like an entirely new man. And for that, we here at the Welcome Back Studios thank you kindly.
The daddies come in, but they leave as papas.
All right.
It's very exciting, I know. You get caught up in it when you think about how happy these dad boys get.
I'm so happy for those dad boys.
Good dad boys.
So, we have to...
we have to do a lot of things, Zane.
We have to discuss the fact that obviously you're doing so much for these daddies. Taking such good care of these daddies to papas. What are these daddies doing for you internally?
Well, they're paying me.
Yes?
That's a big part of it.
Right.
I provide a service, and in return for that service, I get money, which I can spend on things like goods and services.
Goods and services are
But
big.
there's also a part if I know that I'm strengthening the family unit. For a dad is a relative person. You cannot
He is a
have
relative.
him. You see, you've made a joke there, but you've also continued to make the point that I was making, which is that a dad can only be defined by his relation into the system in which he is the patriarch. Dad implies existence of child, possibly wife and or husband. So when you make a dad happy, you're not only making the dad happy, but also the people who are happy, the Jerrys of the world, as it were. The people who are by which of the dad is a dad because he has children.
You and your work have just inspired me to be not just a better human, but a better dad boy.
Exactly.
To my little baby bun buns.
The buns at home, yes, I've heard about them.
And yeah, now, as our audience knows, I don't have babies, I'm not married, but I do have bun buns. And what bun buns are, well, you know. Now, let's on to our next question.
Move on from the obvious and get to something that's a little more difficult to
Exactly.
figure
Now, as people need to know about this, you wrote this old law book. Now, this, obviously came from your childhood
Yes.
and your background, and this was before the daddy daycare.
This was pre-DDC.
Pre-DDC played into it a little bit.
Exactly.
But you wrote this wonderful, wonderful law book called Fern Phasm's Fun Fathamables.
Yes.
Now, the thing about Fern Phasm is he was your childhood alter ego, which was...
That's very true.
I thought that was fascinating. I never had a childhood alter ego.
It was fascinating.
I get it now.
See what I've done.
Yes. All right.
Yes,
the thing about Fern Phasm's Fun Fathamables is
Fern Phasm's Fun Fathamables.
I don't think I've ever heard of a better law book. Laws were always just the worst growing up, you know? I can't drive until I'm 16. Well, that's dumb.
Yes.
Just little things like that. I can't go out and just bang the Philadelphia Liberty Bell with a hammer just because it's on my brains.
Yes. Well, you're saying you've gotten to the point of it, which is that you thought that the laws were dumb.
Exactly.
And the way that Fern Phasm's Fun Fathamables it would say the same laws, but would just sort of say them in a way that wasn't dumb.
Exactly.
A kind of hiding the broccoli in the mac and cheese sort of situation.
Quite.
Which, as I'm sure you can tell from my corpulence yet dexterity and physical fitness, I'm a big fan of. But for example, the law you mentioned where you can't get your license until you're 16 years of age. The way that let me see if I can, I used to have a voice that I did as Fern Phasm when I was a kid. It's a little bit, I'll warn you.
I'm so excited.
It's a little wacky.
Oh,
You may not recognize me at first just by how different it is.
I'm so excited.
From my speaking voice.
I'm so excited.
Let's see if I can't get into that register.
Go for it.
You shouldn't drive until you're 16 years old, you dolt.
The dolt.
It was like someone else was in the room.
I swear, I closed my eyes, I went to heaven for 6 seconds.
You went to Fern Phasm's heaven where it's just him and God. And they're kissing.
I'm so happy of the pictures that you've painted in my head today.
Yes.
The God and Fern kissing.
God and Fern Phasm kissing.
Happy little dad boys sipping on cider.
Happy boys.
Some dolts with their licenses.
Because when you call people dolts, they don't think that what you're saying is dumb because you've made them the dumb one.
Exactly.
And it's a zero-sum game, but it's a one dumb winner. And the winner is you, dolt.
I'm just so blessed to have you on this show because your law book, I grew up with your law book, you know? And so I just...
Well, you grew up alongside it. The book didn't grow.
The book, well, when I stacked those books next to each other, let me tell you...
It was two books.
It was my... Exactly. You get it. The audience, we're on the same page.
Get it. Absolutely.
Now, the thing is, obviously, your law book was a big inspiration to me on how to make things more fun. I want to know what was your biggest inspiration growing up, whether it was for the law book or for the daddy daycare. What really drove you to make what you made?
I would say that my biggest inspiration was the tail of an apple tree that I planted in my backyard.
Wow.
So when I was a child, and we learned in school that when you bury a seed, you end up making whatever the seed came from.
Right.
Like the water cycle, but for plants.
Oh.
How water comes into the ground and then evaporates and it becomes the rain.
Yes.
In all of those posters that they teach you on school days when the teacher has a hangover and doesn't want to go over helpful things that would involve paying attention.
Around the same time I learned that the spider can't climb up that drain.
Exactly. Hickory dickory dock and all that.
Yes.
So I took the seed of an apple which I had got at the supermarket and I buried it in my backyard. And I looked up on my Google Siri how long it would take to sprout, and it said 2 years. And so I waited 2 years, And I actually didn't look at my backyard for 2 years because I wanted to be surprised. I didn't want to just track the progress. I wanted it to sort of be a one and done kind of thing.
Did you wait around, or were you just going about daily life?
Just sort of going about daily life, minus the fact that I could not go into the backyard to check on the progress. And I would, of course, my parents and friends would look out the backyard, and the instant I heard them start to talk about it, I would put my fingers in my ears and I would make this noise so that I couldn't hear them, and it went something like, I can't hear you talk about the apple tree. I want it to be a surprise.
Isn't that the inspiration behind the earbud holes that you give to the daddies so they can watch different shows?
Yes, so they can. It's selective hearing and listening. You see how this daddy daycare thing, it uses everything I have, even these most arcane of references. But then after 2 years, the day had come, and so I opened the door to my backyard, and there was nothing there. And I asked my parents, why isn't this fruit tree where I expected it to be after 2 years?
Right.
And they told me that fruit could not grow in this climate where I had grown up.
Oh no.
And that the only things that we could grow in my sort of suburban backyard were spices and weeds and dandelions.
What a handful.
A handful of nothing.
Yeah.
And there wasn't even a tree to make a trio because the tree didn't grow.
Well, you're just left with Rio.
And that
or
failure.
EO.
Well, this is America, and the lack of apples just made me think. I don't want to live in a world where you have to be doing something very specific and live in a very specific place in order to make this apple grow. I don't want to live in a world where laws can't be followed because people think they're dumb. I don't want to live in a world with unhappy daddies because they can't get their Jerry cider that they love so very, very much. So I just set out to make the world a little bit more full of whatever your apple tree is and needs to be.
What an inspiration you are. And I heard that you were collaborating with your friend that was just on the show prior to us.
Dr. Noisymelon.
Yes, I heard that his research into hypothermia really inspired you into the mindset of the world that you live in versus the world that you want to live in.
Yes.
Where he had shown you this path of I want to give myself hypothermia so badly. Exactly. And you thought, well, I want to please all of these daddies so badly. The mix of wanting to give someone hypothermia and to please so many daddies.
Yes.
Now, do you have any other projects in the work? I mean, obviously we've got a little bit of time here before the show's done. Do you want to throw any plugs out there? Any future projects? Any renovations coming to your recent works?
Well, the one thing that I'd like to talk about is the Daddy Daycare and the Law Book are two of the sort of looser things that I did to try and capture that spirit of making apples grow where there can't be apples. But I'm working on this new initiative called the Johnny Appleseed Initiative.
Oh.
And what it essentially means, much like the mythological figure who traipsed across the nation dropping apple seeds and sprouting trees wherever he went, I'm working on a GMO-infused apple seed that, when placed into the ground, will instantly sprout into a 50-foot apple tree and start raining apples down upon the crowd. I can't say on the air that I have a deal with the United States Army about weaponizing these, but I can't not say that I don't have a deal with the U.S. Army on weaponizing these insta-trees.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Watch your
Perf
feet
Pidge.
on the ground. There could be an apple tree there.
Watch your feet. Watch your licenses. Watch your daddies.
And an apple a day keeps the daddy happy.
Thank you so much, Perf Pidge, for joining us.
Absolutely.
My name has been Zane Fidler. You want to come back and give some closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm just kick this old fat guy out of his chair.
Oh, man. How do you feel? How do you feel coming back?
No,
you feeling warm? Nice and toasty?
My fingies are tingly and my toes are great.
How'd that juice? That juice really revitalized
slurry
you?
was good. Yes. I just really wanted to say the words nutrient slurry.
Nutrients?
And I wasn't denying
I really wanted
that.
to say blutrients. I really liked
You did say blutrients.
I
That
did.
was a good
I
bit.
enjoyed that a lot. Also, I know you didn't like the Me Too movement part, but I had a plan.
You know, that's you having a plan is better than what I expected.
Yeah, exactly. I might be the Griffin McElroy of the group, and I might be a little
Now we're
unpredictable.
just talking about podcasts that aren't our podcasts.
Hey, they're worth it.
So are your dads. Take care of your dads, everybody.
Wonderful. Please, if you're listening to this on anything that you can subscribe or leave a review on, please do it.
Helps
Let
us out a great deal.
Let us know what you like, what you didn't like, what character attitudes are working for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you like Fidler,
Which ones you just want eviscerated with a laser and never to come back?
Exactly. We actually had a character on about laser boxing. He could take care of that square away if you want.
Good self-referential for those deep cuts out there.
Share this around with your friends, your family, and every daddy you've ever met. And as always,
everyone. That dad you're thinking of that you think is not going to like it, send it to them.
Trust me, you'll be very surprised.
I know that guy. He's wacky.
We just had a guy on. That guy was around for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say a single word, but man, that guy sipped so much skim milk. It was ridiculous.
Crazy.
All right. As always, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, when we can welcome you back to Welcome Back.
Yeah.
You got it.
Welcome back, but next time.
Please come back. Welcome you back to Welcome Back.
See you soon.